Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 4 of the Synergy Show. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Kyle Grondin here with me. He's the owner and founder of Colossus Fitness, an online fitness coaching company. Now, I'm really excited to bring Kyle on the show because not only is he a very successful business owner and entrepreneur, but he's quite literally changed thousands of lives over the last few years. I think over 4,000 transformations through their online coaching platform. That's incredible. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Great, man. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me out. And for everyone listening, what's up? My name's Kyle, and excited to dive into some more stuff here today.
Awesome, Kyle. So I want to just start it off by asking, what got you into online fitness coaching? Like, was that something you planned to do, or was it something you kind of fell into, maybe a hobby, or your
So
interest?
I'm business partners. His name is Josh, a good buddy of mine, and we've been doing this for close to, I think, about 10 years now, and I give him all the credit because he was the first one to initiate all that stuff. So basically, even when it comes down to the journey, he's the one who started the YouTube channel, and it started to kind of die down. Him and a couple friends did it, and then so I jumped in there and I saw a cool opportunity. This was like, maybe 11, 12 years ago actually, and I was like, yeah, let's do some videos. And then as we kind of started, Josh had started helping a lot of people for free, sending out workouts to everyone. People were wanting to join him in the gym, and he's like, I see an opportunity here. And this was like early. A lot of coaches started like years ago during COVID, all that other stuff. And then from there, he's like, hey, I'm onto something. And so we just really started to help people for free, got a lot of transformation, saw a demand for it, realized it's a lot better than personal training, to be honest. And then just took it from there. And honestly, the biggest difference maker was like starting to dive into some more books and like growth oriented things. So he listened to 10X Rule, Compound Effect. Like this was like, once again, 10 years ago in university around then. So it was like, hey, like 10X your goals, like take more action, just dive into it. And it's just like those things really helped. And then from there, we just started to evolve and grow.
So your partner, Josh, his name is, he started the company, and then you kind of jumped in at the right time, and together you guys grew it to what it is today. Would that be correct?
The first little while was like more of a fun little thing.
Yeah.
And then essentially we spent still the first like 2 years of just like fun YouTube videos, calorie challenge. Like we'd maybe make a couple bucks a month from YouTube eventually, maybe one client and whatnot. So it was a very like fun thing while we were both like trying to figure it out, and we had part-time jobs, and I was working for the city, he was a lifeguard, I was in college, he was in university, so it was a very fun, laid-back thing for the first few years. And then eventually, once I dropped out and and I quit my job, I said, we've got to go all in, and just from there, just started to take things up a notch.
That's really interesting. So you dropped out of college to pursue this full-time.
Yeah, and I wasn't making much of the time either. It was like, we'd get a few checks here and there, like, a couple e-transfers and like maybe a YouTube small check.
Yeah.
But I just knew that when I was forced to take action, same with him, it was just, it's a very different level of action versus like having that kind of plan B, plan C, whatever it is. It just really forces us to go all in, because we sit down, you have like 16 hours in front of you in the day, you're like, I have so much to do. Whereas most people, and this isn't advice for anyone, but most people will do their 9 to 5 and then say they're going to do like stuff afterwards, and then they're just drained. They have no time. And obviously it depends on where you're at in life. Like we had the ability to low expenses, like stuff like that helps. So for the 43-year-old who has 2 kids, it's going to look a lot different, but I was very fortunate to be able to do that.
At what point in the growth of the business did you realize I need to drop out now? Was it monetary? So was there a certain amount of money coming in, or was it future results that you were anticipating? What was that impetus that made you kind of jump into business full time?
I think it was just like the love for it. I knew and I would have rather made so much less money doing it than like pursue what I was pursuing. So even, I was studying HVAC. I was always told you'll have a good job, you'll always have money, always have work to do. And then, so what I would do is I would always try to go to class. I would do my best. I would say, okay, I'm going to take the subway this way. I'd have to play mind tricks because I hated it so much. So I would show up and then go to class, and I hated it. I just really, really disliked it. So then I would take the subway all the way around to Josh's school, which is TMU now. It's Ryerson, but it would be like a quick subway, and then be like, all right, let's edit a video. Let's go to the gym and film a video. Let's get an Instagram post and do a promotion or try to get some more clients. And so it was more of just like a fun thing where it was just like, if I put all my effort into this thing that I love, it'll pay off eventually, and I will, far surpass anything I could do HVAC related. And if I were to follow the trade and whatever it is that I was kind of going down, I will get destroyed by anybody who has any remote amount of passion. So I was like, I'm just gonna show up. I'm gonna hate my job. I'm gonna hate my life, really. Like it was not fun. And it's, some people enjoy that type of stuff, but I knew that it wasn't for me. I'm just like, I have no idea how to use my hands. I'm not handy, and I'm just like, what am I doing here? So I think it was more of just like, it wasn't about the money. It was just about like, I'll do 17 hours a day on my laptop, filming videos, doing YouTube stuff, helping clients. Whereas if I were to have to do an hour a day of anything else, I'm like, I couldn't stand it.
The difference is you choose to spend 17 hours.
Yeah.
You're not forced to spend 17 hours doing that. That's something you're passionate about. Whereas when you work a 9 to 5 or any type of, job that society pushes you towards, you're forced to do that, because somebody else tells you what to do. There's a big difference there. Tell me a little bit about the first days as an entrepreneur. So, when you guys were first starting your business, I know you mentioned that, the money wasn't coming in consistently, but how did you stay motivated to keep pushing when the money wasn't flowing in right away?
I think it was really, we did have a vision, and I think like there definitely was some good inspiration. You'd kind of follow some YouTubers. Like our big thing for the first 3 to 4 years was probably YouTube. And so having like all these other people out there creating channels, we'd look at guys like Scott Herman Fitness, who we eventually collabed with and has like multi-million subscribers. And so we'd kind of look at that and see like it is possible, and I think that was like what really helped out. And honestly, like the very beginning was the hardest. Like I'll never forget trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, because that was like our big base. Like coaching came a couple of years after that, and it was just like brutal. Like, so we would go to the Apple store and try to get our videos on all the laptops there, and if there was anyone signed in, we would follow from their account. We would do anything it took to try to build the subscriber base. And so once we like got to that certain amount, and then so that was the hardest, but from 1,000 to 10,000 started to get like a lot easier.
Yeah.
And you just start to see the results. Once you see results, you become addicted. And so once you see that momentum and you realize, oh my gosh, like I had just gained 100 subscribers yesterday, like this video started to blow up. So I think it was like once we saw that, it was just like, all right, we got this. And just the momentum continued to build. We would do calorie challenge videos, which would blow up. And then eventually some of our form videos blew up, which was like amazing, because that changed so much, because we then knew there was a formula. And we're like, if we just replicate this and keep doing it, it's game over. And so every video we did was just like that exact one, and it would do well.
Yeah.
And so it was really just looking for those results and that growth, and it just
you found what worked, and then you kind of doubled down on it. Let's just circle back to the Apple Store example.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think that's actually genius. I need to go to the Apple Store and just put my company name on all the laptops and MacBooks. Did you see any results from that?
Probably not, but it was funny when we'd see on all the laptops just like our videos playing. So we were trying to get views as well. But it was just, I love that memory, because it was like, there was a lot of those moments where, we would, we'd have competitions, and each day we would try to open as many related fitness channels and try to engage on their page to get them to then come back and engage on ours. But these are things we don't necessarily do now, because it's been, it's been a long time. But like those are those moments where I just like remember sitting at a desk, for 2 hours, and I'm like, okay, what can I do now to get our name out there, to grow? And we did a lot of like, I guess Gary Vaynerchuk calls it like being in the dirt, just like kind of eating crap, I guess you could say. Just like spent so much time, and nobody will ever like see that, because right now they see 1,600 Instagram posts, they see like the the YouTube plaque, they see like the everything like that, but they'll never see those moments where it was like New Year's Eve, I wanted to do a recap video, and I was like sitting at home for 6 hours finding all the footage, editing it just so it could go out. But I love that memory because like I was like, you know what, I'm going all in. Like I'm going to be serious about this. So nobody will see that stuff, but
of course. And that also probably, like, sometimes when you have customer interactions, they're like, wow, you guys charge so much. Well, I'm actually charging for the last 10 years of, experience, joy, pain, disappointments, all the things that I had to go through to offer you this product today, right? And
100%.
nobody sees all the effort that you put in the background.
Yeah. And even for our coaching program, we started with, like I said, free. We've taken numerous courses, and even to get to how many transformations we've had, things have changed. We originally did a 30-day package, which was like, first client was $75 a month Canadian, right? And then things have changed a lot, right? And then as we go on and get more experience, we did 30-day challenges. Then we did 60 because we wanted more commitment. Now we're at a 90-day time frame. We charge American. We work with about 96%, I'd say, Americans, somewhere around that. But a lot of it has just come with like trial and error. The more that we help people, we kind of try to stay competitive, but we do offer a lot of value. So yeah.
I want to talk about, you said when you first started your business, YouTube was the big player in terms of your growth. Now I think it's more transformations and things like that. How did you know that shift was coming, or did that kind of just happen naturally over, a few years?
So what happened was actually YouTube was our bread and butter. We have 615 YouTube videos, and that was it. A couple times a week. Sometimes we would almost try to do it daily if we could, and so we knew that was the big focus. But what happened was we knew podcasts were starting to get big. And so from there, we started to just kind of go all in on podcasting because we knew, like as much as I love YouTube, like people's attention spans are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, not as many people are going to sit there as much as I'd love to think people will sit and watch this interview the whole thing through and just like sit there and stay focused. I know it's probably not the reality.
Yeah.
So we started to switch out and just do podcasting because we knew that people were going to be driving, they're going to be walking, they're going to be, and that was just the next big thing. So
let's just stop for a second. Yeah. Let's just plug your podcast a little bit. Can you tell a little bit about what your podcast is?
Yeah, so it's called Fit, Healthy, and Happy Podcast. We've done I just looked before here, I think we've done 630 episodes as well. And basically we just help people get fit. We try to simplify fitness and just make it easier for anybody who wants to just get in shape because there's so much misinformation out there.
Yeah.
Every day you go online and there's just a million different things, this type of diet.
Oh my goodness, when I see like the different diets, the carnivore diet's getting pushed out a lot nowadays, and then there's like back in the gluten-free and this and that, and it's like, just be healthy.
And it kills me, and like unfortunately I don't think our podcast will ever be like, we have a great supporter base. We've got, I think we found out there was something like 40,000 subscribers or something on there, which isn't close to the YouTube, and it will never be as close to someone who has like a strong message, who creates like a cult type thing. But honestly, I know I love feeling like I'm helping someone, and that person who just goes to the grocery store or just like wakes up and they're like, what do I do? Being able to like tell them, hey, chill out, like here are the basics and what you need to follow. I'll always take that like over anything.
When you guys first started, I remember like I was a lot younger back then, and I was really into going to the gym, and there were only a few big like YouTube fitness guys. Like those, like Gymshark was just starting off back in the days. You had guys like Jeff Side and Chris Lovato, Matt Ogus, all these guys. Yeah. And you guys found your space in there and kind of grew over time. Yeah. And now you've transitioned over to, I see you guys are really active on Instagram, and like, I don't know if you're on TikTok, but Instagram, you're really big on Instagram. And now there's a lot of competition on Instagram. Yeah. Right? There's like millions of probably fitness influencers and gurus and things like that. But one thing that I really like that really stands out about what you guys do is you really humanize yourselves. On like a weekly basis, you do your weekly recaps, and like you kind of add your personality and character into the page and into the business also, so people know they're actually dealing with real life people, you know, living their lives, going to events, having a baby, this and that. How helpful do you think that aspect of it has been in the growth of your business?
So that's a great question. Actually, I've made a conscious effort to try to share more. I still think I could do a lot more sharing, to be honest. And It's a tough balance because I don't like when, you know, if there's someone I follow, but then that's all they do is just like, here's my life. Like, I think there's like a fine line, but I do believe that I try to pay attention to what I like. And one of the greatest piece of content advice I heard was like, would you consume your own content, or even just pay attention to what it is that you enjoy? And I really pay attention to other people's stuff, and I love when someone shares stuff that's like relatable. And I never want to be that fitness guy who's just like only in the grocery store and only in the gym just talking about how great I am with my protein intake and my lifts, but like share like the ups, the downs, you know, behind the scenes stuff. And I think that if you can just be more relatable, it makes such a big difference. And you know, I've used your page as an example to a few friends actually. As a realtor, I showed a couple of them, and I said, I was trying to give some advice to one of my friends, and I said, like, you're only posting your homes. You know, it's like awesome, but it's like, what do you like? Like, what do you do? What's your hobbies? Who are you as a person? Because I look at myself and I see the fitness guy, and he just posted that he's having a baby girl, and I'm like, I'm having a baby girl too. And I start to see different sides, and I see different tips and how he's navigating, and naturally I enjoy his content more than just the guy who's like, I've got it all figured out and I just spend 6 hours in the gym. So even for you doing your marathon stuff, posting, you know, whether it's you went on a cool trip or like, you know, a dog related thing, like whatever, like I can now see and be like, oh, cool, like this person's a human. He's not just a, a sales machine with real estate. And
that's the thing, right? Like a lot of fitness guys are the cliche gym bros, right? Like just eating protein and lifting weights, but like who are you behind that? Is that your whole personality? And especially when you're running a business, like take your business as an example, you are serving so many different demographics, right? The United States, which makes up 96% of your like audience, is very broad. Like there's over 300 million people. So how are you going to relate to everybody? You're not going to be able to relate to everybody, but if you point out a few of your key characteristics or key things that make you who you are, you're going to attract a lot of different people, right? Because there's going to be people that like dogs. There's going to be people that are, you know, fathers too, having a baby girl. There's going to be people that like UFC or whatever it is that you're into. So if you just put your personality a little bit into your business, not too much, there's a fine line, like you said, it's going to actually help you grow your business because people are going to find you more relatable.
Yeah. And like, so yeah, sometimes I hold back because like when I want to go post something that's not like informative or, you know, this is going to change someone's journey, I usually use my personal, and I sometimes hold back on the main page because I'm like, oh, this person doesn't want to see it, or people are only here for fitness, and so sometimes I have to remind myself, be like, hey, this is totally cool, like, and every time we get messages, which is pretty often, of people who are like, hey, I saw you did this cool thing, I also was there, and like, no way, and like instantly you have that different connection. And when we're trying to get more people on board, and you know they want to hire a coach and whatnot, they know that, you know, we can have that similar, you know, kind of relatable thing going on. For you know, whether it's a kid, the dog, the travels, the, you know, the morning routine, like the struggles as well. Like when they realize that we've had struggles as well, like they
that's really
you know,
key.
I hate, the thing is, like, I love social media, but I hate it because every time you go online, it's like only everyone's recap is just like the best part of their lives. The photos they took are always the best. The videos they've taken, they only share the wins. Like
nobody's vulnerable.
Nobody will share like, I just went out on a 30K and I didn't finish it. Yeah. You know, because that's not fun, and I've been there. And
I struggle with that too, like all the time. You know,
and it's just the way it is. But it's just like when you remember for social media that it's just like a highlight reel, it just makes it a lot easier. Because I know so many people struggle with confidence, and you know, they, especially with how much scrolling we do too. When you start to see everyone's living their best life and on this cool vacation and winning and winning and winning, you look and you've had a bad day. You're like, what just happened? You know, like what? Why am I different? But I remind myself of that, and I also try to share like, hey, I didn't want to work out today. Here are 3 things I did to get through that workout, so that way people realize and they're like, hey, wow, he doesn't just wake up fired up and ready to work out every day. Like that's the amount of mental energy to go on that 30K. Like I'd sit there for an hour sometimes just being like, okay, I got to go do this. Whereas people think you wake up, and especially because
that's why I really like David Goggins, because he mentions like sometimes before he goes out for a run, he's sitting there for 20-25 minutes staring at his shoes. And I've done the same in the past, where I've taken like 30-40 minutes just staring at my running shoes. Like I don't really want to do this. But then you remember what's there for you on the other side after you finish, right? Like that feeling is one of the best feelings in the world. But more people don't share that like initial doubt or uncertainty or, that hardship that they're going through. And I wish more people did, but that's the unfortunate reality with social media is you just see the highlights of people's lives, right? I want to just touch back on your business a little bit. You guys are in a very saturated industry. I think there's a lot of fitness influencers. What are some key strategies or approaches that you guys took to set yourself apart from other fitness influencers and coaching companies?
It's a good question. Honestly, up until the podcast, I would say we started the podcast, I'd say around 5 years ago, and that's when it was just before COVID. It just started to, maybe it was 4.5. I'm trying to think. We've done 2 episodes every week and how many that is. I think I said 630 episodes. So I think it's been closer to 5 years. And up until then, we were always doing well. People would come from YouTube, they'd follow our Instagram, but I would say the podcast has been like the biggest difference maker, because when someone spends time with us like twice a week for about an hour, I would say, they realize how much we care. They realize like how much we try to simplify it. And most people online, I find, especially when it comes to social media influencers, like you'll find an Instagram person and they've never even talked to the camera once. They've posted their booty many times. They've posted their abs and said 6 tips and then just like showed their abs. And then like, it's like this quick reels and it's like, okay, everyone's doing that. So our biggest difference has been trying to get through and actually spend time with the person. Some people had listened to, like I've had a lot of messages where people have listened to like 200 to 500 episodes before signing up. Wow. So you look at the other guy on Instagram who's posted his abs and then the girl's posted her booty like a million times and it's just like, that's all it is. You're like, I'm not going to hire this person. I'll follow them for like whatever they have to show, but I'm not going to hire them as a coach. So when people would spend that much time with us and they realize like we tell different life stories, we share tangible advice, we share everything based off of different people's lives. And so from there, I think that's been like our difference maker. And then when we transfer over to Instagram, we do similar things. We say every person is so unique and different. So I would say what really helped is just like being more than just like a body or just like a pretty face, I guess you could say, and actually like connecting with the people. And it's like crazy because I heard a stat, I think it was from Ty Lopez like many years ago. He said, you have to spend at least 7 hours with someone in order for them to finally like sign up or pay you or whatever it is. And when I realized, I'm like, most people, especially when it comes to Instagram, I'm like, they're not going to be spending that much time. Like they're going to be like scroll, click, probably won't read the caption. That's how it is. But I think like when we got people on board listening, like every Monday and Thursday they tune in, they're like, okay, listen to it. 20 weeks goes by, they've heard us talk about coaching for the 700th time, and then they're like, all right, whatever you charge, like I'm ready for it. So connecting has been huge.
That's interesting. Now, you mentioned you spend a lot of time with people. That's something that differentiates you guys from, other people in the industry. Do you approach each person with a different strategy? Like how does that work?
So that's what I love about coaching is just that everyone is so unique. Like we've had 16-year-olds to 73-year-olds online just exclusively. So that's where I think like another, I guess, marketing piece and what's helped us out has just been like making that known, because unfortunately the fitness industry, there's just too many people out there preaching that like keto is the only way, and like if you don't do keto, you're not going to succeed. Intermittent fasting, same thing. And so from our messaging and what we believe, it's just that anybody can succeed. We've just got to create a game plan based off of their situation, their life, and everything is fully customized. We realize that the 21-year-old who's getting out of college is going to be so different than the 48-year-old mom who's got a couple teenage kids and she's running them around. And so between her workout routine, her nutritional support, her recovery protocols, her cardio routine, everything is going to be fully detailed. And that's why I do believe we've had like so much success over the years with our transformations. It's just because we actually take a look at each individual and realize like everyone is so different. Yeah. And you can compare that. I love analogies, but even real estate, it's like you have so many different people And if, let's say, me and 5 others came in and you showed the exact same house and you're like, no, this is for you, like you'd be losing your customers.
So there's the program itself, right? So how you approach the program with your customers, it depends on the customer itself.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about your interaction and the strategies that you use when you're speaking with different customers from different backgrounds. Do you guys differ in your approach if you're approaching, let's say, a middle-class person, or, let's say a younger person, or do you just take the same cookie-cutter approach with everybody when you're speaking to them and interacting with them?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So basically, even this morning, I was sending out some text to clients, and one thing I've learned is just to like dumb things down as much as possible. I heard a great quote. It was something about like when you talk or when you speak about something you know about, like talk like maybe it was like a 4th grader, something like really kind of lower level. And so basically, I've tried to do that for everybody, no matter who they are, because everyone wants to learn. Like if I talk about biomechanics, and then when
We're good.
if I just speak in like a way where it's just like nobody understands, like it's just going to be frustrating. So I would say like the way we speak is honestly like kind of similar, but I do like I just like being a human. So even like same with our coaches, it's just like I love that like the way we've created our business. There's no rules. If I feel like some businesses you have to be so formal, and like I'm just like, hey brother, like what's going on, man? Great to hear from you. Like I just kind of like will tailor it based off of people's personality. So we do weekly video check-ins, which a lot of coaches don't offer, and that's where I think the big difference maker is. So we try to connect in a way where you're not just sending someone a routine and saying, hey, have fun with this. You're gonna actually get a personal connection. So every Friday, which is today when we're filming it, I'm going to go home. I'm going to check out my my video check-ins from my clients, and then I'm going to personalize my approach. I'm going to talk to them a bit differently. The 52-year-old mom who had a really tough week, who is looking for some more support, I'm going to give her some more tough love. Tough love, but also like the caring support. And then that 22-year-old guy who's just like, bro, give me more. Like, I want to crush it. Like, I need more volume to my legs. I'm gonna be like, all right, dude, let's go. Let's do it. And and that's where
it's a tailored approach, right? Everybody's different, and you kind of go along with their personality.
Yeah, and we've always like, unfortunately, with fitness and even just most industries, people try to take the easiest approach. So even us, like we were in a mastermind years ago, and they're just like, what you need to do? You need to do all of your check-ins. So some people would have 100 clients and they would do their check-ins in an hour, whatever it is, because they would get them to fill out a form. They would send out a message back and say, all right, good week. And we're just like, we could do that and we would save more time and probably make more money eventually. But then you're not actually connecting with that person who just wants to hear from you, who wants to be heard, who wants that detailed approach and change.
Yeah.
So we've kept that because once again, we do care and we want to make a difference in terms of like actually being able to connect with the person. We've spent so much time talking on the podcast, spending time with them, doing all this stuff through Instagram, and then just to then be like, all right, well, here's an email and you'll talk to my assistant probably. Like, just not doing that.
So, you guys are like, what, 10 years or 11, 12 years in, over a decade, let's just say. You initially probably started off, coaching a lot of clients, you and your partner exclusively. Now you have a team of coaches, but you're still taking on clients at the same time. But obviously you now have more responsibilities as the business has grown. How have you juggled, your personal life, coaching clients, and taking on these new hats that you now have to wear, like, being a manager, being a mentor in some cases, and sometimes, all these other things, bookkeeping and all these other things that are involved in being a business owner. How have you juggled all of that?
Really, over the last few years, it has been outsourcing. Up until so I've had, like Josh and myself, we've done everything while taking on every client, and that was a lot. Like I found that when I was doing that, I couldn't focus as much on the media, and then just like something would always take a hit. And so from there, when we started to hire, so we actually have 4 coaches with us. We've got an operations. We do have an agency that helps us behind the scenes with connecting and finding new people to reach out to. We do have a bookkeeper, which has been game changing lately. So over the last few years, as we've been able to get more people on board, it's been awesome because we've been able to then hire more people to help us. So There have been a lot of challenging moments where you wake up, you have the bookkeeping to do, you have all the client work to do, you have 7 programs to make for clients, and then I also need to do an Instagram post and then edit the video. We got an editor now for our YouTube and our podcast. So really and honestly, like I'm all about buying back time, and like I did have a very hard time with it at first, and actually like knowing that, hey, if I just do it myself, I'll save money, but then I'm sitting there for like many hours just like killing myself.
Can you spend that time more productively doing something else?
Yeah.
Right.
But this is the hardest part, I would say, for entrepreneurs. Like most people don't need it for the first little while.
Yes.
But that part where you actually like know that it's probably going to be done a little bit worse, and to pay for it is like one of the hardest things.
That is so true.
It's brutal.
That is so true.
And I still struggle.
Yeah. As somebody who's like, you know, a self-proclaimed control freak, you know, it's hard to give up. Yeah, perfectionist. It's hard to give up that control because, you know, I have an assistant, and sometimes, you know, they don't do it the same way as we do it, but they still do it and they get it done. And now you have time to focus on your clients or whatever else you want to do, right?
So the biggest lesson I've had with this is to over communicate. And I know this because I've made so many mistakes. Like we'd hire someone on Fiverr to make a thumbnail, to do subtitles, to do whatever it is. And I would just say, hey, I want this done, and then like send them the info, and then it gets sent back, and I'm like, this isn't what I wanted. So I found that putting more time in the front end makes it a lot easier in the back end, because if I sit there for 10, 15 minutes and explain everything, or even if I film a video explaining to my editor, here's how I want this, like here's what you're gonna do, here's how to do it, he has that resource. It took me an extra few minutes, but then when it's done in such a better way.
Yeah.
So over explaining has been like game changing.
I think we have to remind ourselves that other people don't have the same brain as you. Like they don't think exactly the same way as you. They're shaped by different ideas and opinions and life circumstances, right? So over communicating is a way to get past that issue of, you know, them not producing the results. I find that's such a helpful tip. What were some other challenges that you faced with running an online business?
It's a good question. Honestly, it's funny because looking back on, you know, the big incident of COVID, a lot of people I would talk to, they just had a lot of issues. And actually before that, I was really big into personal training, and I did a lot of in-person training up until then. And then so at that point, we had a lot of people, you know, messaging us. Our gym started to shut down, all that other stuff. And so from there, like, we were pretty blessed because we had been doing it for so long. But similar to what I was saying about going all in before, we weren't all in on coaching at that point. We did it, we had a lot of success, we were crushing it, but personal training was just such an easy thing to do. I'd find my clients easily, you know, I'd have them come in, I'd put them through a killer workout. It was awesome, but I did find that it wouldn't get as great results as online because most people wanted their hands held, and when I would try to support with nutrition, they didn't care for that. And so from there, what I'm trying to get at is like, honestly, as COVID hit, it forced us to start to get creative, and like it just really kind of made us also go all in on that. And then from there, I never did any personal training again, which
you just had to shift to the online model right away. Like your business faced like a severe issue, and you're like, what do I do? Do I pivot, or do I continue trying to do what is not working? And so from there, just like, it's funny because people would always ask, like, did you start this like when COVID hit or whatever? We're like, no, it's been many years. It's just that was when we had to sit down. And I'll never forget the day when we had all of our clients messaging us and saying, hey, like I would go to people's houses, I would train in condos, like it all just shut down, which wasn't the end of the world, but it was also like, okay, what do we do? So we were sitting down and we were just like creating everything we needed, just at-home workouts for all of our clients. I made workouts using water bottles and, you know, rocks or like whatever we could. And so from there, it was just like, okay, but we just lost a significant amount of income. Like just like I was training 40 to 50 hours a week in person. And so with that, it was like, okay, what do we do? We sat down, we created a 60-day shred challenge, and we had about 100 people, like 150 or so people join for that at different levels. We had 3 different tiers. And then it was just like, okay, now we're good. We've got people coming in at $99 a month, $150 a month, and then like $229, I think, was the top end.
And it was just like, because of that, it forced us to like get creative. And so I wouldn't say it's been a challenge, but I think like the hardest part of everything has just been navigating like problems as they've come up. It's just like, what do we do? Oh, our website's down today. All right, I need to find someone on Fiverr now to key in this thing that I have no idea about. And it's just been like over 12-ish years since we made the first YouTube video, there's been like thousands of problems.
Right. So and it's just like every time you approach with a problem, it's just sitting down and figuring out a solution rather than, being disappointed and sad and upset that you have problems. I mean, it comes with the territory when you're in a business. Tell me how you and your business partner approach problems when you guys have a disagreement in terms of how you want to solve that problem.
I think we just kind of brainstorm and just figure out what works best. Like, fortunately enough, and this is where it gets tough, like partnerships, I find are very hard. Like most people who started around the same time as us, they aren't going anymore. Like I've seen it all from the guys who started YouTube at the same time as us. Like they were like two great guys with an amazing channel. They're not together anymore. And I look at a lot of different partnerships and I see very few of them stick through. And fortunately enough, like, I'm very blessed to have someone who's like on the same page, who, is growth oriented. And it's like, just very, very grateful for that. And so through problems over the years, it's just been a lot of, sitting down and just figuring out what works best and then just taking action on it. And that's kind of what it's been like, really.
I think it's important to partner with the person that's on the same wavelength as you, right? Not only in terms of just the present, but like future priorities and goals, right? Yeah. A lot of people will, be ambitious when they're single or don't have kids, and then the minute they have kids, like, that ambition goes out the door, or something changes in their life, their priorities change, right? So I think it's so important to partner with the right people, but before you partner with them, kind of sit down and go over what are your long-term goals, what are your long-term visions.
And just, like being fully aligned as best as you can. And I mean, fortunately enough, like nothing's changed, which, I think is very, very rare, because sometimes people's priorities, like I saw one guy before was all in on YouTube. The other guy was like, man, I don't like doing this. And they kind of just shifted and just grew as different people. I've seen that like numerous times. Yeah. But I think for us, it's like still continuously meeting up has been like a game changer. So especially with us being online, like you can live anywhere, you can do whatever, and we still make time to dedicate. Like this has been for the last 10 years, we've had our set days. So Monday's our meeting day, we still meet up, we still do everything, same routine. Tuesday, kind of work out, but then like do different separate things. Wednesday's our podcast day, so we'll sit down, we'll film videos, we'll work out, we'll do everything. Thursday's like a extra day where it's like meetings, everything else going on. Friday's a separate day, and we'll still probably work out and maybe do our client check-ins and do separate things. So what I'm trying to get at is like keeping that structure has been like so game changing, because I know like with a lot of people in business, they just shift. Like that one person will be like, oh well, I'm making all this money and I can go online, I'm gonna go to Bali and then like get out of here, and then you're like, all right, well, it's just it gets so different. It's just like
usually like in business we kind of live in the future. Like what you do today determines what your future is going to look like in like 3 to 6 months. And when you take that trip to Bali to just relax, you're going to feel it in your business in like 90 days, right? And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Yeah. So I think structure is very important, especially considering that you're running an online business and some of your staff are in different parts of the world. So how do you manage that, when your staff are in different time zones and, your clients are in different time zones and different parts of the world? Are there any strategies or tools or systems you use to really structure that in a way where it continues to work well?
What's funny is most of our team is actually local. So we hired like our top, one of our awesome coaches, Armando was the first one who joined us. He lives in Pickering. We found him, he's not far from me. We found him through we did a fitness and health promotion, like we were part of a community, and then basically posted an Instagram story, and he wanted to join our team. We've got Krista, we've got Mary Kay, we've got Jason, which is my business partner Josh's brother. So that's been very nice, because similar to the connection side of things, we'll still try to do, holiday dinners, and we've done a trip to Nashville all together. Like we've done a lot of that stuff. So team-wise, it's been very awesome, like because we're all pretty much on the same page. We do our 12:30 meeting every Monday. We've got Slack community to go back and forth for all of our coaching needs. And so keeping things organized and like, you know, just it's like we don't miss, right? So it's like easy to be like, oh, we're away this week for the meeting, so like whatever, we'll do next week. It's like keeping that consistency and structure has been like one of the best things for, you know, our team, but also ourselves and just like our entire business. And similar to, you know, doing the podcast, doing everything, I think our biggest blessing has just been like just being as consistent as possible. It's like if we know we're away for a week and we're not going to pack our microphones, we're going to do it the week before.
Yeah.
We're going to do 4 in the week and we're going to make it work. And so that's like the biggest thing about our business, but also just can relate it to the fitness journey too. It's just like making it work no matter what. And I think so many people look for any excuse they can, like, oh, well, we're away this week, or, you know, my toes hurting a bit, I can't do my running. Like,
exactly.
It's just making it work. And even for time zones with our clients, everything we do is actually on their own time. Yeah. So what's nice is like they don't have to schedule a call. They don't have to worry about navigating that back and forth like 7 times of like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Everything is just like on their own time. When they want to send their check-in, when they send us messages, we'll always get back. Yeah. And it's like we've spent a lot of time trying different things to figure out what works and what people enjoy and what gets them the best results.
And that consistency is what's kind of got you here. I want to end off the interview with one final question. If you could go back and redo your business journey, what is something that you would change?
Wow, that is a great question. So the thing about our journey, I honestly don't know if I would change anything, because we've had very slow growth in terms of like, you know, when you see people who just like they just blow up and then like they fail because they've like started spending too much and they got success overnight, not overnight, but like it kind of seems like that. Ours has been like a very like every year's been growing, but it hasn't been like a like straight up. It's been like a slow growth, but so like we've started to like slowly add new people, slowly make changes, and it's like I think that's what's kept us going and also kept us like humble in a way where it's like you're not this next influencer is like, oh, I'm the biggest deal out there and whatnot. So I look back on that because I'm like, sometimes I wish there was just that one thing that just like hit it and we just like rocketed up, but then I think that would probably have changed, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe the person I am, or maybe our overall success. Maybe we wouldn't be on the same page then, my business partner and I. But honestly, I think the biggest thing would have been not reaching out for help earlier. Similar to what I was saying, I think we did spend way too long being like too cheap. I can do everything. I'll do all the editing. I'll take on every client. And once we got out of that box, realizing that like even hiring a coach, they will do a great job. Like it's their only job they're gonna do. You know, we trained them up. They knew a ton already. And so it took us a very long time, like, you know, more time than it should have. And I think we would have started to grow a bit faster if we took out the small, like the assistant type tasks, like the, you know, $10, $20 per hour tasks, whatever it is. And so I think I would have definitely like brought on a team quicker. And even still, like there's some things I still look at and I'm like, oh, I can do it quickly. And I think like I really have to convince myself and be like, no, like you're better off doing the more important things.
Yeah,
so
knowing when to outsource. Yeah, knowing when it's the right time to outsource as well. I think, like I said, we were talking about it earlier, just people like to hold on to the control for as long as possible. But, you know, even in like my industry, I can't be the marketing agency. I can't be the business owner. I can't be the manager and the salesperson all at once. Like I can be maybe 2 or 3 of those things, but not all 4 or 5, right? So knowing when to outsource is really important. That's going to actually help you with your growth.
A lot of people don't realize that those people that they see that like are producing a ton, because they'll always see those people because they're everywhere. They're not the ones doing that. They're the ones who turn on the camera and then they'll send it out to someone else and then they'll get someone else to edit it. And then the ads aren't being done by them. It's by an agency.
Exactly.
And then the listing is also like, you know, there's just those small things like people don't realize. But even in my space, like I'll see guys who are doing a daily YouTube video, almost a daily podcast, like 3 posts a day. And I'm like, wow, like the team's doing great work. Like I just know that that's how it is. Like he's doing great. He's a smart guy.
You've got a well-oiled machine that's, you know, putting out content on a daily basis.
Exactly.
It's the team.
He turns on the camera and he says, here you go, make it nice. And that's, you know, and it does get to a certain point. Like you're not just going to start up a podcast and just be like, oh, I'm going to hire a whole team in production. Like you do get to earn that. And I think the best thing to do is like make sure you're consistent enough to be able to then do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever a bad thing to hire someone too early, but I also think that some people can get ahead of themselves where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make a great Instagram and I'm going to hire an agency and get like the marketing team and get everyone. And they're like, they can't even stay consistent enough with their messaging and like a daily story. And they're going to like then think that they need to bring on a big team. Whereas if you've shown that you've been consistent enough for a certain amount of time, then you're like, all right, now I can do this.
It's about maxing out your own potential, and then like you have to kind of realize, if I continue doing this, I'm gonna have diminishing returns.
Yes.
And that's when you start to outsource and start growing your team, right? You know, every episode that I do, there's like one kind of moral of the story.
Yeah.
The moral of today's story is having the right team around you is so crucial to do business, and then being consistent with that team. So thank you so much for all the knowledge and information you shared with us. Before we let you go and we end this interview, where can people find you and your company?
So Instagram, active, basically post every day, stories every day. We'll have our team. Once again, I was like, I don't want it to just be me. How can we get our team? So they'll film client successes. We'll try to keep it more of just like a team thing versus like just about me and my buddy. But yeah, Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT is the Instagram. The podcast is Fit, Healthy, and Happy Podcast, and then YouTube is Colossus Fitness. And we're as active as possible on every platform available.
Amazing, guys. We'll have all Kyle and his company's information in the description below. Believe me, I've seen some of his transformations myself with a close friend of mine, and it was incredible. Guys, really check them out if you guys are looking for any help with your fitness journey. Thanks so much for coming on today, Kyle.
All right, big guy. Thank you.
Appreciate it.